Okay, looks like got a few more people coming in, but I'm going to go ahead and get started. And as I said, Meredith Douglas is my assistant today. She's our marketing director at Hinge Brokers, and she'll be sending me chat questions. And also, I'll be checking the chat box as well. My name's Kathe Petchel, and I do client relations and development at Hinge Brokers. It's the dream job, actually. So much fun because I get to talk to people like you guys all day. It's very fun. So we're going to get started with content today that is called Build Back Better This Summer. Kind of a little bit of alliteration. And the whole concept is just that if we really put our minds to it for the summer, we'll be ready to go for fall. Many of you are already kind of coming back and super busy in the summer, and then many of you aren't. So we're hoping that the pieces we put in place this summer will serve us really well into the fall and winter and going forward as we happily come out of this pandemic. So today's agenda, the latest news and updates from Hinge. So come see us in Florida. Kathy Lagan and I will be in Orlando, Florida, at the Association for Early Learning Leaders, the AELL conference. It's the first really big conference this year where kind of post-COVID that we're all getting together, and we're really excited to see all of you. Kathy's presenting course, a business piece, which is reimagining your business in a time of change. And that's on Friday, June 18th at 2 p.m. Her content is always amazing. I've heard her speak, I don't know, at least 100 times, and I always take notes. She has her finger on the pulse of the industry and the trends and all the financial formulas and whatnot. So don't miss that. And then I'm speaking. Mine is a little different this time. Instead of my usual staffing or marketing enrollment or operations, it's leveraging community resources, how to add value without spending money. So it sort of, I was inspired during COVID, thinking about grants and the way we can get funds from community resources, whether it's, our local community or whether it's our state or even going wider. And so I've got some really good content I think people will really enjoy. I'll probably present it at some other point as well. So if you miss it or if you know you're not going, I'm always happy to jump on a call and share some content and give you some of the ideas that I researched for this presentation. That's one thing about us at Hinge. We are super excited to talk to people, and this is our conference, the Shift Childcare Leaders Conference. Right now, the early bird registration is open, and it's until the end of June, and so you can save $200 off your registration fee if you sign up now, through now and the end of June. And it's going to be awesome. The hotel is gorgeous. We're pretty much taking over the whole hotel ourselves, which we're excited about because it really helps with networking and, getting time with different people that you meet. We really love to leverage our relationships at our Shift conference, and you'll just meet other amazing professionals. And one thing I notice about this industry, and I always brag about all of us, is how generous everyone is. So come see us at the Shift conference. It's about 3 days. Awesome. We got some really fun events planned. Awesome speakers. One of our keynotes is talking about happiness and the research around employee happiness and how being included at work matters so much more than even a paycheck, especially coming out of the pandemic. It's at the Balboa Bay Resort, and we hope to see everybody there. This is an event where you should definitely think about bringing key staff, maybe a director, a regional director, someone definitely from your marketing, or if you're thinking about growing, this is the conference to attend. And oh my gosh, I can't tell you how busy we have been lately at Shift, at Hinge. The childcare market is super hot. Right now, buyers are just super optimistic about our industry. They have been for the last several years, and there are quite a few like international buyers, some private equity groups, of course, the usual big groups. Everybody's interested in our market right now. because childcare is here to stay. I think what we did during the pandemic in particular was prove we knew what we were doing. We knew how to keep children safe. We flexed right away to more sanitation protocols than we already had. And we already had a lot of really good protocols. So we've really improved a lot. And I think we led the way for the public schools to feel confident in opening as they slowly have done. And hopefully everybody's back up and running in the by fall, full time. None of this part-time hybrid nonsense. We need our children back in classrooms, and it starts with our preschoolers because we know about social emotional engagement, the need to play. Of course, our families need to work. If you're interested in selling your school, you'd want to put this email, write this email, info@hingebrokers.com. You can also email me, Kathe Petchel at hingebrokers.com, and I can point you in the right direction. Sometimes you just want to chat about it and you're maybe a year out or 5 years out. It's something we happily do. There's quite a few, well, every single person on our team brings something unique with a skill set. And so we're happy to talk to you, whether you're thinking about selling now or kind of thinking about an exit or succession plan. And so now I'm going to get started with preparing for a great summer and leading into a great fall. So let's celebrate. Confidence is high now that the end of the pandemic is in sight. And so now I think, and I know you all agree, it's time to focus on the future. So what we're hearing is in most segments of our country, the schools are coming back and businesses are asking employees to come back. Quite a few states are not taking federal money now for unemployment. And so unemployment will be running out soon and workers will need to get back to work. I know our biggest problem in our industry that I'm not addressing really too much today is the need for staff. And I do have some strategies on it. And I'm always happy to talk offline if you want to email me or, I can give you a call. We can talk about staffing strategies. But today it's sort of an overall, I'm going to include some staffing, but also some other pieces. So our friends at Indeed, we have a friend, Travis Steba at Indeed, who has spoken at our last two shift conferences, and we've invited him again this year. His presentations are extremely popular. And it's because what Indeed does is a lot of research. They put a lot of money behind how they do their algorithm and how they coach industries on recruiting staff and retaining staff as well. So I jumped on a call with Travis about 2 weeks ago. Oh, and by the way, we've invited him to our shift conference this year. We're just trying to finalize the date, but we've invited him to be main stage speaker, hopefully on day one, because what he has to say is so insightful. And honestly, the last 2 years, people lined up after his talk just to pick his brain about their demographic or their particular questions for their business. So one thing, and this is content straight from Travis from 2 weeks ago, expect fall to be very strong nationwide. Again, like I said, and this is what Kathy's hearing, our brokers, and the rest of our team are hearing nationally, that there still may be pockets of a little bit of tentativeness to come back, but in general, we should be very strong nationwide. Sorry, I'm just getting over a little cold. Industry slow to recover may be perfectly aligned with us. And let me tell you what that means. He pointed this out particularly for us in childcare. The tourism, wellness industries like spas, any travel or related, also restaurants, all of those industries are going to be the last to recover according to Indeed's research. The first to recover, thankfully, was the trucking industry. So that's good because, everybody gets Amazon boxes delivered to their house or office daily, and any other of our materials that we need. So certain industries have recovered more quickly. Education, we're kind of in the middle. Certainly public schools are behind us, but the industries that are slow to recover won't have jobs for their staff. So if we're doing ads on Indeed and really specifically targeting those industries with words like customer care, customer service, nurturing, taking care of people. Join our team and of nurturers. We communicate. Using things that those industries use, maybe in their Indeed ads or just what they represent, will help us get maybe staff from those industries to kind of cross over to us. I know one friend just hired someone that was a director at a fancy spa in California, and she's perfect to help with their marketing and enrollment because she's a great listener. She cares about it being customizing for a family, or in a spa it would be for a person. So that's an awesome tip. This is the easiest one. The next one is responsiveness is essential. Rewrite your processes and your hiring expectations. This is really cool. When I talked to Travis about this, he gave me this incredible statistic that Amazon does. He said, how quickly do you think Amazon can start to finish bring a staff member to start, not just to be your hire? And it's like a week. It's crazy. It's like 7 days. You think about, doing whatever reference checks they do, whatever, credit checks or banking, they probably vet, as strictly as we do. So they do 7 days. So I thought, I'm going to try to improve myself a lot. So we have come up with a 4-day hiring start to finish plan. And so our process is, one thing we're doing is everyone on our management team takes an hour a day, and we have our alarm set on our phones. Mine is 10:30 every day, to just check Indeed, to make sure that we are responding right away, whether the person's a candidate or not, yay or nay them with the X or the check, as you all know, and then reaching out, are we contacting, and what is the process specifically? I actually have mine written. If you'd like to email me, I'm happy to share it at the Kathe Petchel at Hinge Brokers. But being responsive, and we know I think it's either 46 or 47% of American workers right now are Gen Z or millennials, almost half. So we know Gen Z in particular, and also millennials, like responsiveness. That we also know that there's 5 or 10 other preschools and childcare centers vying for the same small pool of candidates. So being responsive, even I've been coaching on this for, a couple years now, but even more so now. So try to really shorten your pipeline of when the candidate comes in, that lead, to engaging with them immediately within a couple hours at the most. And then, deciding, so I'll do, an initial phone screening. If we like them right away, we'll jump right onto a Zoom, then a social media check, then bringing them into the building for an observation. They observe, we observe a little bit, and so on. This one's really good. And actually, I got this from someone on our team about doing the math. Adjust your pay rates, but grow careers with higher expectations. So if you're having to pay your staff higher, which many of us are, or all of us probably are, then grow the careers at the same time. If you're having to pay $2 more an hour than you have been maybe pre-COVID, maybe add a few more duties for the person or a few more expectations. Happy to pay you $14 an hour. I'd like to get you enrolled in our CDA program. I'm happy to pay for it. And if you stay, 2 years after I pay for the program, it's free. If you leave sooner than that, I'll charge you a certain portion of the tuition. That's an example of adjusting your rate, but raising your expectations. If you think about maybe $2 more an hour across the board, and we had one group do a study, one of the larger groups in our country did a study, and they found that about 2 years later, their tuition rates could catch up to what they were paying now or early on. So again, I'd say do the math. And another easy Indeed tip would be fully building out your business page so that you've got your logo, you've got pictures of your building, really good specifics about your program, so that when somebody comes to Indeed, they know for sure what they're getting with you. Absolutely, on your ad, it should reference your Facebook pages, because that's great social proof about all the wonderful things your staff are doing with the children. And then also asking staff to write reviews, especially if your school has one of those general names. Like my schools, I have 3 schools in Virginia called Bright Beginnings. I cannot tell you how many Bright Beginnings there are nationally. So if you go on reviews for Bright Beginnings on Indeed, unless it says Charlottesville, oh my gosh, there's just so many reviews. So the person would not necessarily know. So figure out how you can send them to your website with true authentic reviews from your staff or true authentic testimonials from your parents. So asking staff to write reviews. Of course, we're always asking parents, but this is in particular to hiring. So again, fully building out your page and asking staff for reviews will really help. And then this one's a great trick. Get Indeed alerts about your company. So ask Indeed, and you can just on the dashboard on the home page when you have an account set up, you can ask for Indeed to tell you about anyone with a Bright Beginnings, in my case, on their resume. So it's one of 2 things. It'll be former staff that maybe are afraid to apply, and you can call them up and say, hey, I saw you applied on Indeed or you updated your resume on Indeed. Love to talk to you if you're interested in coming back. So many times staff think the grass is greener on the other side, and it's not usually. And so if you are open and welcoming to them, you're going to maybe, have some good success with former staff. It will also give you an alert if one of your current staff are looking around. I love that. And I love it not as a gotcha, but as a conversation starter, that open, responsive communication. Hey, Jordan, I saw that you just updated your resume on Indeed. Do you have any questions or anything I can help you with at Bright Beginnings? Sure would hate to lose you. That happened to me a couple months ago, and the person was really strictly just looking for nights and weekend work. And I actually had nights and weekend work, so we worked something out. But it's not necessarily a bad thing. A lot of us have been talking about what changes we made during the pandemic and also what we might keep post-pandemic. And so I've just sort of come up with a short list, and I'd love to have you guys pop in the chat box maybe what you're going to keep post-pandemic. Some ideas would be shorter hours. Shorter hours goes into working with your labor costs and maybe reducing labor costs. We know, for instance, if you're open 6:30 in the morning to 6:30 at night, really track how many families are actually using that time. And maybe, especially post-pandemic, where maybe mom and dad or whoever the family members are that are the guardians for the children, maybe they're really not working full hours yet either, so it's going to suit them. You're going to save some money on your payroll, possibly overtime money as well. And, honestly, keep the days shorter and a little bit more efficient. So a lot of people are considering keeping shorter hours. Some people are extending hours. That's a great strategy as well. Maybe your competitors are shortening their hours and you see that opportunity. So of course, I don't know your market or your businesses. I'm just giving you some ideas that have worked and I'm seeing work with our clients. Limiting parents in the building. My big reason for trying to continue that is the reduction of germs. When you think about overall, we've always had so many strict protocols in place for our staff washing hands pretty much before and after they do anything. Same with the kiddos. And of course, diapering outdoors and so on. But we've really not asked parents to wash hands as a regular practice, except maybe if they're serving their child, maybe breakfast in the morning, situation like that. So limiting parents in the building could be a really good health reason, but of course there's a negative on it. They're not seeing what's going on in the classrooms. They're not having as much time to build relationships with the teachers. So that's one of those you're going to have to toss around, possibly with the parents and certainly with your staff. A lot of licensing in different states are still requiring masks. I know in Virginia, we still have to wear masks for the teachers. So masks, you may keep masks, or you may require masks if the teachers are feeling a little unwell. Certainly masks if they're not vaccinated is a reasonable expectation. Temp checks, hand washing, and cleaning protocols. I don't see those going away anytime soon. How often do you think parents have temp checked before they put their little one in the car and realize little one has a fever and not even come to school during the pandemic? They know we're not going to allow them into the building right now. So I love that one as a keeper. Evening and weekend tours, a lot of people are reducing tours or not even allowing tours in the building. A lot of you have gone to virtual tours, but evening and weekend tours might be still a really good option, especially if you're not full. I would say, let's see, at our recent Thrive conference, we did a short poll, and in general, and it was about 100 people from maybe like 30 states. So really good cross section. The average was 65 to 70% recovered back from COVID. That's not full to capacity, but back from COVID. So most people were doing quite well, but not full. So even if you're doing some tours during the day, now you might consider doing evening or weekend tours as well, just to build that enrollment back up. Virtual learning as an enhancement or an alternative is something several people I know are keeping. One in particular has done such an amazing job with their virtual classrooms that they are now selling it to, I think, families in maybe 20 states. Amazing. Shout out to the Learning Tree in Michigan, Carol Gatewood and Andrea Brown and Karen Ballard. Awesome job. Just keeping it, and it's actually a revenue generator now. More outdoor classroom time. Of course, it's summer, so that's awesome. But having children outside, we know develops, their lungs. It develops, it reduces stress, vitamin D, vitamin C. There's so many reasons for children to be outdoors, but especially fresh air, natural disinfectant. Keep those windows to the school open once a week, just to really disinfect. Of course, we're still doing sanitizing, but, outdoor classroom, there's a million reasons to do it. I mean, I absolutely love implementing more and more outdoor time for the children. Of course, you have to be careful about your sunscreen and your shade and whatnot. And I've got lots of great info on it and some wonderful resources. Probably most of you know a lot about outdoor classroom already, but I'm very happy to share information if you'd like it. And then touchless check-ins. Lots of the platforms are going to touchless check-in, and I think that's here to stay. I'm going to pop into the chat box briefly and see if see what anyone has to share about what maybe they're keeping. See some of my friends. Hi guys. Shorter hours. This is Michelle Soto. Shorter hours, masks at least through fall. Virtual staff meetings. Oh, good one, Michelle. I've loved Zoom with my staff. Awesome. Sanitizing, definitely. Those are great. More outdoor class time, virtual tours. Keeping masks, keeping temp checks, washing hands. Yes, and adding virtual alternatives. Love that. A lot of us have added more hand washing stations outdoors, which is awesome. And quite a few have added the sanitation, or sorry, the Purell at the front with either the permanent stations for the hand sanitizing, and also the permanent stations to automatically check temps with their little foreheads, or the grown-up foreheads as well. I had not thought of weekend tours. May consider. If doing weekend and evening tours, make sure they see pictures and other evidence of the school's character. Oh, awesome. Vaudrey, awesome job. The school atmosphere can feel cold if not done well. That is awesome. I'd also say make sure you got everything up to date. So for instance, it's June 1st now. Calendar shouldn't say May on the wall. Those kind of things, or tattered signs, kind of like really keep in mind your branding and what you want to show and brag about, point out. Evening and weekend tours, awesome. Okay, great, thanks guys. And feel free to keep popping in the comments, because honestly, I have content because I talk all day long to operators, and everybody shares. So we'd love to hear if you got something we haven't thought of and no one shared. Always happy to hear all of that. And I'm going to keep an eye on the time because at about 12:45, I've hopefully earmarked time for us to have Q&A and just brainstorming. Then what would you let go of? Policies that no longer serve you. Oh my gosh. So what might that be? I'd love to hear in the chat box what you might let go of. They could be things that take a lot of time with staff. Maybe it's, maybe it's something to do with how you check through your payroll. Maybe there's a system you can use to shorten, for instance, in ProCare or any of the other systems. Maybe you're going to eliminate a few extra meetings. Maybe instead of doing 6 parent events, you might pare it down a little bit. I would, if you're doing something like that, I would probably do some type of survey monkey or poll on Facebook with your parents and ask, what would they like you to keep? That you want to focus on best quality program, the curriculum, developing your teachers, and even the teachers that have been out since COVID, they need to be reacclimated to our program. So, definitely buy in from the stakeholders. Oh, great. We've got one question already. I'm going to address it in a minute, but how would I set up a virtual tour? I'm going to come back to that at the end because it's kind of a process. Staff that are not a culture fit, now's the time to let them go. We're all really struggling, or most of us are really struggling with staffing. I usually recommend being overhired, not necessarily overstaffed. You may need to be overstaffed till everyone's trained up so that you've got mentor teachers helping all your newbies, for sure. But staff that are not a culture fit, that would be staff that are negative, that call out a lot, that just have so much drama all day, all night drama, stir the pot at the school, are unprepared for their day. Maybe even though they know they're supposed to wear a mask, it keeps sliding off on purpose. Don't follow protocols about calling out. That's a big one for me because one of my core values is trust. So I trust that when we set up policies and everyone understands them, we'll abide by them. So staff that are not a culture fit, it's a really good time to nicely exit them out. And, if they're not a culture fit, they're not engaged, they're not bringing their A game. I don't think people wake up every morning thinking, I'm just going to go to work and stir the pot and be miserable. If they do, they're definitely not a culture fit, but there's probably a better job for them. And having that honest conversation is what I would recommend. I actually had that honest conversation with someone last week at one of our schools, and she blew up my phone over the weekend, wanting to improve. And so there's always that, fine line of, then putting them on a performance plan with a very short time frame. Process that are time consuming and add little value. I'd love to hear what you guys think about that. Sometimes I like double check my class lists and my roll call sheets and, my accountability, name to face. Is there something I can cut out? I trust technology, but I also trust, our guts and, checking, that just the basic quality systems, but there might be a process or two we could let go of. And then this is just a random example. A lot of us did this during COVID, and it made perfect sense that because we weren't wanting to serve food, or maybe you're serving it full on and you kept it. But the families or the schools that let go of serving snacks and lunches and had the parents bring in everything ended up being pretty happy because you probably saved at least a kitchen person, probably saved a bit of time on the dishes and delivering and checking and all the protocols related to your menus and whatnot, your food purchasing, storing, and so on. And you might want to keep that, that the parents have choice. I would spin it that, we polled our parents, and most of our parents are really happy to bring in food and snacks. Certainly, we would always provide lunch if you forget it. And, you'd always have basic food in your kitchen. But that might be something that's a big time saver and a stress for the director. If your director is in the kitchen cooking spaghetti, instead of answering the phone by the third ring and losing an enrollment to the school down the street, I don't know. It's something to think about with your team. If you're on the food program, that probably does not apply to you, because if you're on the food program, you're an awesome organized owner or director, and you're probably doing really well with the food program in terms of reimbursements. If you've got it going on with that, that wouldn't be one I would let go of. But I'll stop for a minute and see if anyone has any ideas of what they might let go of. Nope, nobody has anything else on that. Okay. If you think of it, feel free to pop in the chat box. Okay. Recommitting your marketing and brand awareness strategies. So all the things we've done during COVID, and we're terrible about this in our industry. We need to brag. We need to make sure our website says it, whatever CRM system we're using says it, that we're telling parents on a tour. We are number one, safety and cleaning. Here's what we do. We've got a fogger. Here's the disinfectant we use. We hand wash probably 20 or more times a day with every child. It's nice to have numbers like that to quantify. So safety and cleaning. We're outside almost as much as we are in, weather permitting. We have added, we've added a hygiene unit or reminders during our morning meeting or our circle time. What have you done that relates to safety and cleaning with the children? For the parents, we're limiting tours. We're only having tours come in 2 days a week. We're doing tours at night. We're doing virtual tours. Be able to specify exactly what you're doing and then cascade it out to everyone. Start with the teachers, because the teachers will feel really safe. That's how we're going to keep teachers really happy, that we know we're not dropping the ball on any kind of safety or cleaning protocols. Quality of teachers. We've done a really good job on that, as far as now that we're coming back, inviting our staff back, being really flexible about it. Now is the time to tell parents, we've got X number of teachers. We just did this with our staff meetings last week. And all three of my schools had an average of, I think it was 101-ish years of experience. And that didn't count me, because I'm not at the schools usually. I would have really helped. So really, and in terms of a staff meeting like that, when teachers are able to say how many years experience they have in early childhood or with groups of children, and then you can say, wow, I don't know what y'all need me for. You got 101 years experience. I can't imagine there's anything you all can't solve without me. That makes them feel really, A, that you trust them, and B, that they can handle situations and are able to be proactive. And that's what we want to do, is build a team that has multiple leaders. Of course, you want to be talking about your unique strengths. If you've got multiple locations, what are your unique strengths as a company? And then what are the individual location unique strengths? Those will be somewhat similar and also different. One of my schools has a big international population of families and teachers. That's a really fun strength to say. We've got people from all over the world. In fact, in January, you'll see fewer children because there's a lot of people that do sabbaticals to their, home country of origin. So what are the unique strengths? And then what strengths have you added during COVID? If you've added those hand washing stations outside, that's a unique strength that goes into your safety and cleaning and the quality of training our teachers. So you're weaving all of those quality brand awareness strategies into a conversation. And then, of course, your raving fans and staff, utilizing them to get the word out, asking the parents for testimonials or to share that you've got enrollment opportunities or hiring opportunities with their friends and neighbors, coworkers, maybe even on their social media, depending. Oh, and on that, definitely thanking them with generous, either 1 or 2 weeks of tuition free, $300, adding their name to, the pot for a great prize. Same with teachers. Right now, I'm doing $300 to any staff that refers a staff member that we hire. And we pay it out after the staff member has 30 days of training. Build your bench and grow your leaders. I just talked about leaders a minute ago. And so building your bench, you're going to recruit from outside the industry for new ideas and processes. Now, I know the children in the classroom have to have qualified teachers. I'm not saying that. And I know there are certain requirements for our directors, depending on what state you're in. So maybe you're going to have someone that qualifies as a director in your building that does director duties, and you're going to add an office manager that has that hospitality industry or a customer care service-based industry to support you at your front desk. They may or may not do some director duties. They're certainly not going to make big director decisions, but they would be a really good add-on to your team in terms of building your bench. And then retraining on all of your systems. That's what we want to be doing now. We've gotten a little lackadaisical on maybe updating CRM emails, or maybe I haven't done this lately, and I don't know about you all. Maybe my parent handbook needs a little bit of tweaking. I've added some COVID protocols, but maybe I need to edit it again and make sure that, the things I'm letting go of are out of my parent handbook. Cleaning, retraining on cleaning. That's in particular if staff are coming back now, where they have not been trained during kind of recovering from COVID. Maybe they've been out for over a year now. I have 2 staff still out 14 months later. They're going to need some retraining. And then licensing or quality rating expectations. Never hurts to remind anything about safety or licensing. And then utilize mentor teachers to grow your bench. Strategic pricing strategies. Kathe Ligon is the goddess on this, and I've learned a lot from her. So I'm going to share some of her strategies and things that we coach on, and recommend if someone's struggling to do these things right away. Price up for drop-in and part-time. So we know 2-day schedule and a 3-day schedule, while it's 2 separate children, that price should be more than your 5-day-a-week schedule. Why? Well, it's a lot more work actually to have the 2-day child and a 3-day child in a classroom. That's 2 extra, probably 4 at least extra adults for that teacher to engage with, 4 extra adults for the front office and director to engage with, and then more children in the classroom. So more materials, just a little bit more chaos possibly. So price up. And then pricing up for drop-ins. I like to price up for drop-in and then reward teachers. If the child has such a good time, they end up enrolling. That's a really good way to engage your staff. Hey, Susie Q's dropping in next week because mom and dad are moving into their new house. I would love to bonus you if they enroll. That's a great strategy. And then raising rates yearly, a minimum of 5 to 8%. That's kind of across the board what we recommend. If you haven't raised rates since COVID started, and I know some of you haven't, and I understand why, you want to do that now. You could grandfather in your loyal families until fall. Say, we're raising rates. Thank you so much for standing by us during COVID. We so much appreciate each and every one of you. We're not raising your rates until, September 1st, for instance. If you haven't raised your registration fees, or if you don't charge for a re-registration fee, you're going to want to do that for sure. And then if you haven't, if you're not doing either of those, you should call me and I'll help you. I'll talk you off your nervous cliff, because you should totally be doing registration fees and re-reg fees. And I'll help you with it. The only reason you wouldn't is if absolutely no one in your area does it and you don't think you're the best. If you think you're the best, I don't care what everybody else is doing, you should charge it. You should also make sure you say what you do with your registration fees. We replenish the big equipment in classrooms. We do staff training with it. We're adding more t-shirts this year and more gift items for parents when they enroll. I don't know what you do with it, but be able to articulate it. Automate how you collect tuition. I think most of us are doing that really well. Credit cards have credit card fees. Depending on your state, you can add You can add maybe up to 3%. I know in Virginia we do. But ACH is the way to go. Dump that money into your account regularly every month. That's my warning reminder that I need to move on. And then minimize or eliminate discounts. The discounts we're not probably going to get away from, especially in the staffing crisis, would be staff discounts. See if you can minimize it though. Typically, we see directors get 1 or 2 children completely free, and then staff usually about 50% off. You could also limit it to number of kids in a building. That's a really good way to do it, because when you're seeing you're discounting on your P&L, you're not going to have as much of a heart attack if you spread it across your buildings. That said, staffing counts the most right now. If we get the staff in, the enrollment's going to come. And then collecting bad debts and disenrolling as necessary. And review and tighten up on your cleaning and sanitation protocols. Again, training, making sure you've got your systems in place. And definitely, and I'm kind of repeating myself on this, definitely emphasize to parents how that's keeping children and staff safe. You know, it's not just about the children, it's about the staff not calling out. Then you're not needing the sub, and the sub doesn't, know the routine of the classroom. And then you're purchasing. We're spending more money on our sanitation protocols. I know in my case, we had to throw away, books and things. Once we were starting to sanitize, we thought we've got to get rid of some of these books that are a little tattered. They're just not going to look great. So what are you having to purchase or replace now that you're coming back? Great optimism right now, guys, to grow. Money is available and interest rates are low. I'm not sure how many programs have permanently closed yet. I know in Virginia, there's some grant money available for programs that are still closed because Virginia wants to have programs back. But if they're in your area and they have not reopened, maybe reach out to those owners or the board, maybe if it's a church, and see how you can help them. Maybe you can hire some of their staff. Maybe you can help by enrolling some of their students. That's and then maybe you could buy some of their equipment if they're permanently closing. Building relationships with multiple funding sources is a great strategy. Have money at a couple banks so that when you need that loan or that line of equity, you're going to get a couple yeses instead of one, well, we'll get back to you. Obviously, the SBA, Small Businesses Administration, awesome resource. Grants and your local resource and referral agencies. Summer to-dos. This is your checklist to do. Now hiring yard signs. They're usually about $5 each with a little metal stake. Line your property with your now hiring, if you're hiring. Line your property with now enrolling. You can go out in the community and place them depending on what your zoning rules are. Some people I know place them on a Friday afternoon when the zoning people aren't out and about, and grab them Sunday night. We've had a big problem with property near us where we place the signs with permission, and then the landscapers just like lawnmowered over them. So I need to go find when the landscapers are mowing the lawns and build a relationship. At least maybe they could stack them up for me. Two-sided simple text banners, really helpful to do, so that if someone's driving by your school, they're going to see now enrolling, now hiring, infant enrollment, new classroom just opened, short text messages. Direct mail has been highly successful lately for quite a few people. And that's because coming out of COVID, people aren't at the coffee shops looking at the bulletin boards as much. Maybe they're not putting things in people's mailboxes. You want it to go directly to them. Oversized postcard for sure. Maybe this size, a 5.5 by 7, I guess that would be 4.5 by 7, a little bit larger. So when the family comes in and gets all the mail, the first thing usually they do is stand over their trash can. That's what I do. And flip through the mail. Here's the junk mail, throw away. Oh, here's an oversized, beautiful postcard offering 2 weeks free. I'm going to put that aside with my electric bill. We don't want it in the trash. Gifts, I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Anything relationship building in the summer. Maybe you can do a family event. Maybe it's still socially distanced. Maybe you're going to have Kona Ice come to your school at 4 o'clock one afternoon and invite all your families and the neighbors. That'd be an awesome relationship building, $200, not expensive at all. We talked about testimonials. Now's a great time to update your website. Make sure that your COVID hours are correct now. Your COVID changes, what you kept, what you let go of, update. Be overhired, not overstaffed. We talked about trainings. Manage your projects and plan for growth. We can help you with that. Fall goals, fully hired and fully trained. Your bench is built out to allow for growth and opportunities so that when that school closes down the street, you've got an extra director ready to go, or you've got an extra admissions enrollment specialist ready to go. The goal should be fully enrolled with wait lists. And I'm not going to talk about why you should be fully enrolled. If you haven't been on, if you're a newbie on our webinars today, I'm so happy you're here. And I would love you to email me or call me because I will talk to you about why you should be fully enrolled with wait lists. And then your system's implemented and training complete. And here we are at questions, and I have extra bonus content if we don't have a lot of questions. But I'm going to pop into the chat box. So I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes to just pop in questions or comments. I certainly would love any other ideas you all have. And then before we go, if we have a minute, I would love to share with you a couple things I'm doing about product placement. It's kind of a little creative idea I want to share in a minute. I'm just going to give you a minute to pop in the chat box if you've got questions or comments. Okay, question one. How would I set up a virtual tour? Okay, so the easy way would be scheduling a time with the family and just FaceTiming them. You could FaceTime them during the school day. You would make sure the teachers know you're going to FaceTime and come into the classroom with a camera. And you would even switch places with the teacher possibly and let the teacher talk to the family as well. So that's one way. The other way that I like better would be to actually, if you can get someone that's pretty good with, just an iPhone and film you going through the building. Welcome to Bright Beginnings. We are, maybe where the school's located, what elementary schools your school feeds into. The kindergarten graduates go to these 3 elementary schools. And I would like to take you on a tour of the building. Here we are in the lobby. Here's how families sign in and out. Here's, our coffee station and so on, and going through the whole building on camera, talking slowly, reviewing your USPs, your unique selling propositions, all the way out to the playground, and then coming back and finishing. You could do this, if I were doing this, I would do an infant toddler virtual tour. And then I would go into the infant toddler rooms and make sure I'm talking about the curriculum in the rooms, the soft elements we've got, how we diaper, how we keep track of the little one's daily schedule. And then I would do kind of a 2 through 4, or maybe I would do a toddler. Actually, I do 3 infants, a toddler 2 video, and a 3, 4. And then if you've got school age, that would be your 4th one. So both of those, and you can give me an email, shoot me an email, and I can help you with that. And then second question, and then what I usually say on a virtual tour also is, I'm happy to give you this virtual tour. I can send it to you in the email, or we can FaceTime. But as soon as possible, I'd love you to get in because there's really no substitute for seeing our building in person. I like virtual tours, and I think they're fine especially if someone's moving to your area, maybe they're out of state. We had someone recently move from Hawaii, someone else from California. A lot of people are moving right now. So it's a good opportunity for us. So I would start with a virtual or the FaceTime tour And then I would definitely try to get them in like the night or weekend, and then during the day. And then second question. You might have to email me this. Recommendations for where to purchase yard signs at reasonable prices. I don't have it off the top of my head, but I can email it to you. My email is kpetchel@Hinge Brokers. I think we have that in the chat box up above already. Just go ahead and shoot me an email and I'll tell you where I get mine. And then also, I think some of the local sign places will also do it. You might have to go in or call them and say, really appreciate the best rate you could give me. But some of those sign places locally should also be able to help you with that. Can you talk more about staff gifts? Also, how do I get board members who are hesitant to spend money on board with gifts to raise staff morale? Good one. We might need to go outside of this conversation to really dig into about the board perception. Typically, and I'm assuming it's a church board, they're typically older members of the church or people that have a lot of extra time. People not like us. People that have a lot of extra time get to worry about things more. Or maybe there's, the attorneys on the board and then they're worried about liability and so on. Or they've got to explain to maybe their board why we're spending money. So for staff, let's see, staff gifts. First thing you want to do is make sure you know the 5 languages of appreciation, because some staff don't care about gifts. Some of them really want quality time, or some of them want words of affirmation. So typically in our industry, it's words of affirmation is usually number 1 and quality time is number 2. Or acts of service. So you want to get the book, The 5 Languages of Appreciation in the Workplace. It's awesome. And figure out with each staff member. And I did that at a staff meeting recently. And we noticed, how many staff had words of appreciation. So, but we're just going to stay to gifts. So staff gifts. The first thing is making sure staff know not just do we pay you. We give you t-shirts. We're doing trainings that you get to take with you. So all the other benefits you're doing besides gifts. So then on gifts, so for instance, when our staff first start, they get a water bottle that's all branded and really cute. They're going to get a teacher bag. I can send you pictures of all of my items that we give our staff. The teacher bag, they get a sweatshirt in the fall, super cozy, all organic. They might get, after they complete a certain number of trainings, here's a coffee, really nice coffee mug for in the car. And this goes into my product placement. What can you give to your staff and what can you give to your parents that is a product placement item? So did you know the first product placement was in, I think, the 40s with a Shirley Temple movie? A candy bar was product placed in little Shirley Temple's hand. And it was the first known product placement on television. So I took that, I was watching a documentary because I love to watch business documentaries. Obviously, I have such a life. It's all about work. And thought, how can I do product placement? And again, this goes to staff gifts, and get my products and branding in all different parts of people's houses. So I'm going to wrap up staff gifts and then I'm going to come back. So another staff gift I did recently was bonusing. I got another PPP loan, so I'm wanting to be generous with my staff. Anyone that didn't miss work at all for, mine is a 2-week pay period, they all got an extra $1 an hour. So 15 of my staff, maybe it might have been 18, got perfect attendance and an extra $80 in their paycheck. We're going to keep doing that. That's a staff gift. That's not something they earned. I'm choosing to give it as a gift. So that's one thing you could do. Another thing I'm going to do on that is do the attendance bonus, but I'm going to accrue it with my payroll company, and they'll get it paid out in December and then next June. And so what's great about that is holiday money in December, early December. There's about almost 6 months till then, because I forget how many paychecks, but plenty. And then in June for summer vacation. So those would be examples of thinking a little bit outside of the box on staff gifts. They love promo items. They love cozy clothing. Um, please email me and I will give you pictures of all the stuff I do. Let's see, and I'm going to go back to that board question in a minute, and I'm going to talk product placement because, oh, I have 3 minutes. Product placement. You want your families and your staff to advertise for you and want to. This is a car magnet. Super cute. If your brand is really cute, people will put these on their cars or on their fridges. So when all the little play group comes over and mama goes to get snacks out of the fridge, they see Bright Beginnings. This is a really good one. I'm going to do this one for fall. It's a frame that is, you can't really see it, but it's branded Bright Beginnings, first day of preschool. We'll take the picture of the child, have one of those Kodak camera photos printed out, first day of school, and they don't all have the same first day. So going forward, getting ready for a full fall, you could do this starting now. Email me and I'll send you my source on this. And then just the water bottles. Of course, if we're promoting healthy staff and you have a branded water bottle, this is a great gift. And then I also give it to parents at certain times. And I see I've got like 1 more minute. If there's any other, there's 1 more question. Oh, good one. What do you mean by overhired, not overstaffed? I always want to have 2 or 3 extra staff in my back pocket, hopefully per location, because at least 10%, you tell me if I'm right, and you might be different, but in general, what I hear is about 10% staff call out rate a day. So if you've got 10 staff, do you have 1 staff usually? Sometimes it's the same one that you might need to say goodbye to, but 1 staff has some issue. I have a headache, I gotta go home, my car broke down, or I got a doctor's appointment, my child has an orthodontist appointment. Usually about 1, so out of 10, so 10%. Then also, you want to not get caught with new enrollment and not have the staff ready to go, Johnny on the spot, trained, onboarded, mentored, ready to go. So that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have extra staff in rooms, although that's not a horrible idea right now coming back from COVID. I am sure there's a million things they can do in your office or entering things into the computer for making sure all the children's immunizations are in and so on. So I'm not necessarily saying you have them overstaffed and 3 extra full-time staff. It's really to make sure you're maintaining or exceeding your ratios, but also getting all your projects completed. And I think unless there's any other questions, and I'm happy to hang out for a few more minutes, Meredith, I don't know if you would like me to or not. I'm going to just check. Oh, good one. Oh, Chantel, thank you for this. Make sure when you're doing a virtual a tour on the nights or weekends, you are not by yourself. That is an awesome reminder. Thank you so much. We don't want everyone to be alone in a building and then random person schedules a tour. That's where cameras come in really helpful too as well. But yes, definitely have 2 people. And I like to do that. This is who I would do. Whoever's your best tour giver, enrollment specialist that has woo and can really build relationships, and then a classroom teacher. Those would be the 2 I would choose. The other idea would be on Saturday mornings. You could do like a small group tours or one after the other. You could schedule, every 30 minutes on a Saturday morning, 9 to 12. So they're social distanced and you just kind of run the families through. You really get to know people without a lot of distractions that way. And unless there's any other questions, we're going to stop the webinar, close the webinar, and hopefully I gave you some good tidbits today. Happy to jump on calls or talk in email with any of you, and I really appreciate everybody attending, and really, really hope to see you all at our Shift conference and our next webinar, which will be next month, should be announced in our email newsletter. All right, thank you. Oh, thanks, Teresa. Oh, thanks, guys. Thank you so much for the nice comments.